Hello guys, hope you're doing well. This video is basically about my Iceriver K0-Pro connector issue. So I had it went offline, I checked it out, I thought maybe I need to restart it, but I couldn't pull out this connector. So my favorite connector with the XT60, which this part is really great, but connector rated for 10 amp, and when I tried to pull out, guess what happened? I don't know if you guys could see it, but look at this. I'm gonna try to focus right there. So basically it's pulled out from the connector the whole interior of this 5.5 millimeter connector by 2.5 millimeters. So I will have to try to figure it out how to fix it. I couldn't find replacement, but I'll probably just need to solder a new connector with the XT60 wire, just so I can connect directly to it without any of this connector try to overheat again. It's just unfortunate for me. I guess I can't recommend this cables to anyone with the overclock. So if you're doing KS0-Pro with overclocks, what happened, I think it's overheated and this plastic got it's almost glued together to the inside of the female connector. So anyway, let's get to it. This miner actually had the worst hash rate, I think, from all of my 7 miners. That little heater that's here in the room, and I'm gonna take it apart. Obviously there is a sticker here that if we can carefully remove with a blade, yeah, it's really easy if you just go with the blade. I mean, obviously it's gonna be no warranty because I have to re-weld the connector. I'm just gonna risk it. I don't recommend you guys doing it, but here you go. Let's unscrew all these screws, 6 screws holding these 2 parts together. It's very easy to do. Phillips number 2. And I'm gonna put on the side all the screws. And now we're gonna separate this thing. Again, I don't have this front and back plate. It already was previously removed for mining because it was overclocked. We had it to remove. Oops, let's see, it's pulled out pretty easily. So now we are inside here. We're gonna disconnect. We'll just disconnect those 2 so they're not on the way, those fans. Let's see. Almost like I need to pry with something, yeah. Alright, so connector 1. I'll probably have to memorize this goes there so we don't twist around. And then the second fan goes on this side. Okay, so this out of the way. Now there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws here. If you guys can see, I'm gonna pull it out and I'm gonna replace my paste. I have some Arctic MX6, I believe. Okay, so now let's see if this number 2 gonna work here. Nope, it's not. I think we need number 1. So let me get number 1 Phillips, and then we'll do that. All right, so we cleaned that up this side pretty good, right? And then almost finished cleaning this part. So I'm gonna clean all these chips as much as possible. I guess you could just use a paper towel first and then try around and get around all this paste is kind of going in between the chips. Chips are very, very small. So we'll try to get the best cleaning out of this chip so we can reapply the new thermal paste and try to get rid of as much as possible of the existing stuff. All right, so we'll get that, and then we'll resolder this with a new wire. Well, my plan is just to use XT60 with the, this is a huge overkill. This is 12 gauge wire, which could hold 20 amp, probably more than 20 amp on this short silicon cable, probably up to 30 amp. But I'm gonna solder negative and positive here and use it to connect to my already pre-made PCIe to XT60 female. Since I already have females and a bunch of these cables done, I'm just gonna use that. I could technically just solder this PCIe cable just directly here and not to worry about it, but I guess I want to be able to disconnect and replace if something goes wrong with this connector, because these connectors are more problematic than XT60. XT60 can hold 60 amps, so it's really safe. However, I cannot trust anymore this 5.5 millimeter connectors. It's just unfortunate for me. I hope you guys, if you're watching this and you had same issue, similar issue with overheating these connectors, kind of felt that it's going to be a problem, and it's really happened to me, and it probably was just maybe a bad, one of the bad wire, or this connector was maybe poorly made or something like that. Anyways, I don't like them. I'm going to just get rid of this one for now. We'll see if I need to get rid of any other ones. So let me clean the board and we'll get to soldering. All right, so I cleaned out the board, the chips, as much as I could. So there's some pink stuff left around. You probably could see this, but as long as it's all clean on the surface, I think it's fine. Now, the biggest part is to figure on this connector where's negative, where positive terminal, and obviously it's not labeled. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the tester. I'm gonna put this to the side so you guys could see this, and then we're gonna do, okay, so I don't know if you could hear the beep. So basically the shortage, we're gonna trace it and see if these two connected together and to the negative terminal. So on the opposite side of connector, it looks like it's all negative terminal. So what we're gonna do for that as well, we're gonna push back this connector and use this negative, which is round part over here. The straight is positive, so let's do negative and verify that this is negative. Okay, so it is negative. Basically, guys, this is a negative on the other side. We could just label it with the negative. Okay, and then let's see then where's the positive. I guess the positive is this whole piece right there, which is kind of unfortunate. I don't know how we're gonna weld that to this side. There's nothing really too well. Like on this side, we can really weld really well over here. And this is a huge negative part, which is all connected to this, guys. But the positive terminal, I don't know where we can really get a good welding point. I guess we'll have to figure it out somewhere here. Let's check it out and see if this is the positive first of all. So we'll go on the straight side of the connector XT60. Let's try there. I guess our connection is kind of broken, so we don't have anything showing up. My guess was it's supposed to be on that side, but I don't think it's fully engaged there. That's the real issue. Obviously this is all negative part, So my only guess is, how do we get to this positive connection? That's so weird. Alright guys, want to bring this board a little closer so you could see. It took me a while to figure it out because it's kind of weird. I couldn't really see that this joint right here, I don't know if you guys could see that. Let's see. So this 4 pins around, this is all encasing, that's all negative terminal. Now the only positive goes just on the middle here, and it's not connected around this pin, so you could see there is a little bit, I don't know if you guys could see that, there is a little bit of space around, so that's why I couldn't figure out that this is the only positive terminal and this is all negatives. So we're gonna try to get to this positive solder here, our red wire, and the black wire to negative. That's pretty much all it is to it, and I did confirm that. So basically, here is my negative terminal, right? That's outside the box. And then if I go just right here and I go inside, that's my positive, all right? If I go to the outside, to the negative, there actually no connection on this, only this wire. It goes like a little bit and then it shows a little resistant there, 475 ohms or something like that. So I guess that's pretty safe. We're gonna just weld it up, this negative to this side and the positive just gonna go on this little part right there. So let's get to it. I'm gonna well heated up my welder and my soldering gun. It's gonna be ready to go and we're gonna have some fun. All right, I'll be using these arms on my mystery stone. This is pretty cool piece. That's a mystery stone. Has six of this arm, different lengths. So I'm just gonna use one of them just to hold that wire against. So it's kind of like your third, fourth arm, basically. Let's start with the positive because that's gonna be a little trickier connection to do. So first we're gonna warm up this part. Gonna be extra careful. I don't recommend guys doing that because you're definitely gonna be out of warranty, I guess, on this device, but it is what it is. I need to do it, so let's get to it. So we're gonna warm it up, get this connector ready. All right, and then we're doing this, you know, this 12 gauge, I think it's overkill. It's super huge. I don't know if I even like to use that, but let's get to it. All right, so it's kind of tough to get it in there. And this humongous cable. I guess I'm gonna try to warm it up a little bit more. All right, I hope I have a good soldering connection there. I use a lot of soldering stuff in there. Okay, let's try this negative now, right next to it. I'm gonna get that prepared. I don't know if you guys can see that or we have enough light. All right, so let's get to the negative part. So we'll switch this arm to a negative side. Drop it down there as close as possible. Okay. That's a tough part to get it down there and hold it. So I guess just gonna have to extend slightly. Okay, right about there. Hopefully that will work. We need to add a little bit more of a heat, I guess. It's not holding up very well. Gonna remove all this extra soldering part. Oh my gosh, hate it. Wanna do that to me. All right, so one more try. Hopefully I'm not gonna damage anything there. All right, so we're getting into soldering this connector, this red and black wires. So red goes to the positive, obviously, and I didn't like the way I did weld it, so right there. To redo a little bit. Okay. So that's how it looks, guys. Basically, that's it. I have a positive to a positive side, negative to a negative. Let's confirm that one more time, just to make sure that my negative connector and positive are correct. So let's get our tester again. And so our negative part is obviously with the black wire and goes to the round spot of XT60. And this is all our negative part right there. All right, so you could see, I guess, on the display right there. Okay, and we're gonna test it against right against this body. So this body is basically a negative connector, right? So if we put back our connector, two negatives supposed to be connected. All right, so two negative, the black here and the negative on the other side, they're both connected through this connector, right? Oops. All right, guys, we'll do a final testing. So since we all soldered these two connectors, positive to this side, hope you guys can see, okay, and the negative on this. So all this part is negative, and the positive is only little connectors to these chips, I guess, maybe somewhere to this condenser as well. But let's test it out, make sure our connectors respond. So I put back the old broken connectors, so it's pretty much getting sometimes connection. So it will just be enough just to test it. Let's start with the negative. All right, so our negative part is this, the black wire, right? So right here, it's gonna beep on all of the negative side. All right, I hope you guys could hear that. Oh, it's actually not connected to any of these guys. So it's just the black, all right? So let's test it out here. This is our black part. that's connected to this wire. So that's a negative triangle part, and the negative part is obviously this triangle here, which is black wire. All right, so we do have connections, so that's a proper negative connection. Now the positive connector will be a little bit trickier because the positive is kind of broken inside, so we'll have to hold it into the board right there just to get that positive connection. Let's say, will it work? Moment of truth. All right, here we go. All right, so we do have connections, so we are good on the positive and good on the negative, so hopefully that sync works. Now again, had to keep this guys as low as possible, these wires, so don't, if you ever do that, make sure when you solder don't leave any big pieces. And I'm gonna put a tape, electrical tape on top of it to protect it, because it's gonna go back in here in the casing. And in the casing, I hope you guys could see this, this is a little bit of raised part of it, right? So when we go there, we'll be pretty close to the casing frame, right there. So there is a space, there is about I want to say about a good 1/4 of an inch, so there is a space to work with. It just, you don't want to be overkilled if you put a big spots of the soldering. It'll be too big and may touch the frame here. So, but we'll be extra caution. We'll put electrical tape on this, and then we get our thermal paste on the chips, and we'll put it back together. So let's get to it. All right, so we're done with the paste. I put like a dot on each of these chips, 6 of them. All right, so it's not pretty, but as long as you can hold it right in the middle of a chip, I think it's fine. And let's get a little electrical tape here to cover these connectors, and we'll be ready to assemble this back. All right, so I have this 2 layers of electrical tape. I put one and then another one on top just in case, so we have all these open connectors protected. So now the trick is really to put it in and carefully align with these holes. So we're gonna drop it down slowly and watch for the holes up somewhere there. Perfect. All right, so now we have to lastly put this screws back in, all these 8 screws, and we'll be done and ready to power this on and test it and see how it works. Right, so hopefully, geez, you really need to get magnetic screwdriver, I guess, for this, because it's really hard to get to them. All right, so I'm gonna do that one by one, insert them in different holes. All right. Ah, this one tough to get to. All right, I guess I'm gonna have to start with you. And this one, little one. Of course, you don't want to go in. All right, so let's see. Oops. All right. I think I'm ready to roll. So I'm gonna do turn 1 a little bit, and then opposite side. So we'll be doing like a GPU thermal paste replacement, like, and then we go across. I'm not gonna tie them all in. I'm just gonna use slightly spring load of the springs, and then we come here, and then we go crosswise over here, and lastly this screw. So now we can start screwing this a little tighter. Okay, let's do a cross there, and then we go here, here. It looks like we're pretty much done. Don't want to over tight the screws, but I guess the spring's kind of loaded, pushing it in. I'm gonna check them all one more time, slightly. And I think this is good. Okay, so we're ready to put it back together and put it on test, but guess what, we need to put this let's see, fan connectors back together, just like that. All right, guess I flipped it, but I think it's reversible in hopefully in the board. Yeah, looks like it's aligned pretty well. So let's get this one back in here. How does it go? Oh, that's so weird. Alright, so it goes outside. Okay, so this cable goes outside this rail where your tape, where your thermal tape is right there. So you keep your cable right there out of this alignment, and then similar on this wire from fan just goes around this section. All right, so that's pretty much it, and we're gonna put screws back, tight real well, and hopefully this thing gonna fire up and we're gonna get it running again. Okay, when I'm using the screwdriver, okay, so it's set on the default like to 1. Number 1 means it will just stop basically as soon as it hits the stop, so it's not gonna over tight or strip the screw. So that's really cool on that newer DeWalt impact drills. See, it's like just stops there, so I really like that, and to me it feels safe to use. Okay, so see how it stopped right there. So we're not gonna even over tighten or rip the screw, it's just gonna stop. Okay. And I think what we're gonna do, just check this with the regular screwdriver, number 2 Phillips, and make sure it's all tight. Because we don't want to, with the impact drill, just rip the screws apart, okay? All right, so that's pretty much it. We're gonna connect and see if it's gonna power up and hopefully start running. I still, you see, I kept this connectors, I didn't pull it out. I'm just gonna be trusting this 60 amp connector now with the 12 gauge. I know it's overkill 12 gauge, it's probably all you need is 14 or 16 gauge. I mean, 16 is a little kind of close to limit probably, especially with new overclocks. So now this is gonna be my test unit, I guess. If any overclock is gonna come with the larger load, let's say even 200 watts, this is easily gonna hold up. All right, so let's go and put it in the rig. All right, now I'm back on my rig. We're gonna place this here. Okay, and get my Ethernet cable connected, ready to power up. Let's go to the other side and connect the power. All right, so this is our power cable on this miner number 3. I hope you guys could see that. All right, right there, right? So that's the one we just soldered with the XT60, and we connecting directly to our PSU server. And let's hope nothing gonna burn down. A moment of truth. Let's take a look and see what we've got there. Oh, nice. We've got power up on this miner number 3 KS0-Pro. And guess what? Of course, I reversed the board in there. You could see now the label here is over in the front, and all the other one flipped around because I did change all of my K0-Pro, so my air fans blowing from the power side, from where the power connector, somebody recommend doing that. It didn't change a lot on the power, but kind of makes sense so they don't get hot air coming out this way. Now let's take a look. We are having red light. It's supposed to start blinking green. Oh, it did. So here you go. It started blinking. We're gonna let it run, check on the web GUI, see what we're getting. Hopefully it's connected and it's gonna start hashing. By the way, this is overclocked to 270G. I'm gonna try, after replacing this connector, I'm gonna try to do 280G, see if it works, and I'll let you know, guys. So I'll let it run first for 30 minutes, see if it works fine on 270G overclocks, and then we'll get back and try to get another overclock set up to 280, see if it works, and then I'll update you guys. All right, so what's really happened to this connector right there? I'm gonna try to show you guys. All right, so this is feels like pretty good quality connectors, really thick wire. I didn't cut it out to check, but this is at least 16 gauge wire. And I think it's got overheated just right there, right next to the this little plastic, and it's kind of glue stuck. So I was trying to pull it out, and instead of just pulling out from this pin, it's got stuck so badly that it just pulled the whole pin out of my female connector. So that's how it looks. So you guys should be really careful. If you have this any overheating issue, don't pull out the connector. If it got stuck, I guess the best way is just to keep it there. If I would just not remove it, I would probably keep it there and use it. I should have just disconnect power probably on this end and reconnect it when I restart. But unfortunately, I did that and I ripped it apart, and that's this video came up for. All right, so let's wait till it starts hashing and we'll see what's going on. All right, so we are in the web GUI, and it's been 11 hours after I replaced this connector and the thermal paste, and I ran it. I updated to 280G overclocks, and unfortunately it did not go to 280. It went to 270 max, kind of hovering around 260 to 270. Right now it's like 254, so there is no really a huge performance upgrade or update from that thermal paste or the connector being welded to the motherboard or to the control board, whatever it is, hashing board. The temperature seems to have maybe slightly lower, a couple degrees lower there with the thermal paste replaced, but nothing significant on that part. So there not a huge improvement from thermal paste, I guess, on KS0-Pros, unless you have a huge temperature or thermal throttling that you notice. So yeah, it's been 11 hours 30 minutes, so it's just hovering right there. I guess that's pretty much it. It's been a little bit better on the pool. Let me show you guys on the pool real quick. Yeah, you could see on the pool average is around 275. So right now it's like it dropped to 254. I don't know what's happening, but the average is pretty good, and even on 280 overclock 280G. The other, obviously, you could see performing a lot better from 280 to 300. And overall, except the number 2 and number 3, those are two my problematic KS0-Pros. But I hope this guy, I'll let it run for another week. We'll see how it's stabilized or not here. This one, number 2, I just restarted to. I was trying to put it back to 280G also,
and it kind of performed lower than before, so I put back to 270G, but I let this run on 280G. It will see what's gonna happen with the new thermal paste, if it's gonna stabilize at all or it's just not gonna perform, and it's just my silicon lateral here. So yep, that's it for this video, guys. You could see the Caspa being like 130 watt, 9 pentahash. Oh my gosh, that's a huge jump. 138 pentahash. So there is starting a large increasement on pentahash. I guess some shipment end of December start coming up or something like that. So we're gonna see another hash rate increase. Caspa price picked up a little bit. It went up almost to 13 cents, I believe, yesterday or overnight, but then it dropped a little bit to 11.5. So it was about 10.5 before. So it's still good performance overall. And I guess, guys, I'll just wish you a happy new year, coming happy new year, and happy mining. We'll see you on the next one. Alright, that was not planned. This is not part of the video. If you still guys watching, this is something what just happened to me on my KS0 original. What I did is I kind of messed up and I went to different number 2, and I upgraded my second miner, but not KS0-Pro. It was KS0 original, that's on the 72 IP number. And accidentally, when I clicked select file, I went and put 280G there. Don't do that mistake, but it's just accident that happened to me. But however, it started mining at 170 gigahash, like it's almost like it's on 175 gigahash firmware, which is really interesting. I'll let it run and I'll let you guys know what's happening, but it's just something really unusual. First time happened to me. I tried that before. If the miner would not start, it would not start if you are using the wrong firmware. But because maybe I purchased a bunch of them and all my MAC addresses been recorded, it did work for this miner. But it's interesting because it's a 280 gigahash firmware, and it worked like 175. That's what I was getting on this miner, around 170, 175. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think it's kind of funny, but I just want to put it up there. If anyone had similar mistake or anything like that you did, I hope you guys didn't get your didn't have to restart your miner. But if it works, it's interesting to see what is that.